is a brand spanking new edition of Weather for Weather Geeks on this Tuesday evening, right in the middle of what is turning out to be the busiest stretch of the winter so far. It may end up being the busiest, coldest, snowiest stretch of the entire winter. I'm not going to make that call, but certainly so far, it has been a pretty busy week. And, yes, today's the 16th, yesterday was the 15th of January, and so we're actually halfway through meteorological winter as of yesterday. Meteorological winter defined as the months of December, January, and February. So I thought I'd take a quick pause and do a little halftime report here of where we are so far as the statistics go. In the temperature department, the first half of winter, the fifth warmest on record, 6.5 degrees above the average. Before the snow today, this is through yesterday, we had 13.2 at the airport. That is 16.2 behind average. Pretty similar to last year, actually, as far as the snow totals thus far, but we did add some today, and we'll add some later this week. Total precipitation, rain and melted snow, we're at 4.1 inches for the season, and that's behind average, and actually 6 of the last 7 first halves of winter have been on the dry side across our area. We've had more active weather, more precipitation anyway, during the second half of our winter seasons of late. When we look at the country as a whole, temperature-wise, through the first 45 days of the season, hard to find much blue on this map. Most of the country has been above the average temperature-wise. There's been some pockets of cool here and there, but generally speaking, that's where we've been for the winter so far. Now, the second half of winter, from now through the end of February, is going to turn out to be quite a bit different, I think, and this is just one set of modeling, but this has pretty good support amongst our medium and long-range modeling. Temperature anomalies for the rest of winter. Now, this is a 45-day period we're looking at here. Of course, there's going to be variations during that 45 days. In the short term, we're going to have a nice thaw next week. But as a whole, we may end up being cooler than average over the next 45 days. At the very least, I think we're a lot closer to average than the first half of the season. And this is, generally speaking, how we expected winter to play out this year, with a pretty benign first half of the season and a colder, busier second half of the winter season. All right, with this morning's fluff, we had 2.5 inches of fluffy snow at the airport. This was that powdery stuff that's really easy to brush off your car, remove from sidewalks, and that sort of thing. Even though temperature is very cold today and road treatment is not particularly effective at those temperatures, this snow can be easy to plow and shovel and broom because it is so dry. Not a lot of moisture in this kind of snow. Other snowfall reports from our area. Overall, the forecast worked out pretty well. Generally, an inch or two worth of snow is pretty common in our 5-county viewing area. Now our attention turns towards the cold in the short term, mostly just tonight and tomorrow morning. Wind chill advisories are out, and a lot of schools have already enacted a delay or just an outright cancellation for tomorrow because of those wind chills tomorrow morning. I think if it were a busier winter, in which a lot more days had been used up by a lot of districts, maybe we wouldn't be so quick to just totally cancel tomorrow, because aside from the cold early in the day, it's going to be a pretty benign day overall with a good deal of sunshine. But, don't sleep on the wind chills. They're going to be a factor tomorrow morning. One of our lowest wind chill readings of the season so far. Now, it's not super windy, but when you have an air temperature around 2 or 3 above, and you've got a 5 to 8 mile per hour wind, you can get a wind chill like this, minus 10 or so at the start of the day. And then as we get into the afternoon, the wind chill will recover above 0. All right, so over the next few days, we've got some snow heading our way, Thursday and into Friday. We're going to get into some of the details on this, but it's kind of a tricky forecast for Thursday during the day. There's going to be a band of snow that likely affects parts of our viewing area at daybreak on Thursday, but it's probably going to be mostly in our northern viewing area. The farther south you are, the less of a problem it should be Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, that band might try to wiggle to the south for a little while, but overall, during the daylight hours Thursday, if you live in places like Lisbon, Hanoverton, East Palestine, East Liverpool, Rogers, places like that, I'm not expecting a lot down there during the daylight hours Thursday. There can be more off to the north, and when we look at Thursday through Saturday morning, I think a lot of us are going to see a few inches at least, probably even a little bit more than that, in some parts of the area. So, when we before we look at the kind of the broad view, let's look at one model depiction real quickly. I wanted to show you this. I think generally this depiction is about right for Thursday into Thursday night. A lot of times I don't show you these model depictions that go down to the 10th of an inch because we're not that good. But generally the idea here is more north, less south. By Friday morning, you might end up with an inch or so down towards the Ohio River. That's maybe a little optimistic, but it's there as far as the realm of possibilities go. But if you live in places north of 224 and especially north of I-80, between Thursday morning at daybreak and Friday morning at daybreak, I'm not going to be surprised if some places see 3 or 4 inches worth of snow. So again, a good deal of sunshine for our Wednesday. Now this first round of snow gets going right around daybreak on Thursday. Let's pause it right here around daybreak. And you'll notice, mid-morning, and I'll even zoom in a little bit here. Let's go back to mid-morning. And then I will zoom in on our local area. You'll notice where this is early morning. Cortland, Southington, Newton Falls, Sharon, Vienna, up towards Mesopotamia, Kinsman, Greenville, New Lebanon, places like that. Once you're down towards East Liverpool, Lisbon, and Hanoverton, etc., probably not a lot Thursday morning. But it can snow enough to be certainly impactful the farther north you are Thursday morning. Now, again, that band may wiggle off to the south for a time as we get into Thursday afternoon. That's a tougher call at this point. This band of light snow probably fades away by early Thursday evening if it's still around that late in the day. But then I think everyone gets in on the snow by late Thursday night into the daylight hours on Friday as a more organized system starts to take shape. Now, the intensity of this is not going to be all that heavy, but it's going to be consistent. For a lot of Friday, it's going to snow light to moderate, and it's going to start to really add up. So, bottom line this for you, let's break it down by day. Thursday, snow likely, particularly in our northern areas. We could see up to a few inches in those places that I called out. Lower chances of more than, say, an inch once you get far enough to the south. But late Thursday night into Friday, everyone gets in on the snow. There's probably another 1, 2, 3 inches worth of snow during the daylight hours on Friday. And then Saturday, while the steady, organized snow is probably gone, we're in a little bit more of a lake effect regime for a time on Saturday. And you know the drill on that. There'll be a scattering of snow showers and flurries around. It's a little bit luck of the draw. Some places might see some localized additional accumulations. Some places probably won't have a whole lot. But everyone's going to be blustery and cold to kick off the weekend. But while we're going to have a healthy snowpack in just about the entire area by the start of the weekend, it's not long for this world beyond the weekend. A pretty significant thaw is coming our way next week. We've been talking about this for a few days now. We're going to be up to 17 degrees cooler than the average by Saturday. And when you consider our average is about 34 here in the dead of winter, we're going to be stuck in the mid-teens on Saturday. But then we get back to normal or average on Monday. And then after that, way above the average towards the end of next week. We might even flirt with 50 a couple of days towards the end of next week. And that means a lot of thaw, a lot of melting, a lot of mud, and probably the emergence of quite a few potholes as well. So it's always good news, bad news in the middle of winter in our part of the country. But if you're not a fan of the snow and the cold, I think you'll enjoy, at least partially, the pattern that we have coming our way next week. But as I talked about at the start of the video, overall the next 45 days, the cold days are going to outnumber the warmer days, it looks like. So enjoy it while we have it, because as we turn the calendar to February, we're going to see a return of, at least at times, a significantly colder pattern. All right, more updates on the coming snow tonight on 21 News at 11 on my social media, the Storm Tracker 21 app, and I'll see you back here on Wednesday for a full update right here on the Valley's most in-depth forecast.